G'day and welcome back to the Campfire Project panel discussion today. First of all, I have with me Kim Dunlop, who is the dating doctor. How are you, Kim?
Good, thanks, Alan. Great to be here.
Fantastic. And then we have Mitch Kelly, who is the host of Life's a Mitch podcast. How are you, Mitch?
Good, thanks, Alan. It's my first time, so please be gentle.
I was about to say the same to you as well, back towards me. And Thomas Graham, who's the Indigenous radio personality. How are you, Thomas?
Good, mate. How are you?
Excellent. Now, we wanted to talk about dating, and I've just said we've got the dating doctor, we've got a podcast, and a podcast host, and we have a Indigenous radio star. And I feel like I'm out of my depth here, and I don't know where this is going to go. So it should be an interesting conversation. What I'd love to do, though, is we're going to talk about dating. And so this is why I'd like to start with you, Kim, if you'd like to get us going, because you're the one who came up with the idea of the panel. You talked to the guys about it, and I'm sure you got some interesting things you would like to talk about today.
Yeah, I thought it'd be great for all of us to get together just to talk about the dating world. And look, I've worn a fluffy hat today just to ask people as well, which hat are you wearing in the dating world? And probably one of the key things is, are you market ready? So how do you get market ready? How do you get onto these dating apps? I mean, the world has changed so much, Alan, and I'm sure you've even found just dating women from, 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Like, I know it was so different. You'd meet someone in a bar and you'd start striking up a conversation. But now we've got these apps and so many options to choose from. It's like, where do you start? So I'm looking forward to this panel discussion with the guys and seeing what we uncover, just to support people in the dating world to find love.
Fantastic. And Mitch, when Kim had mentioned it and we had a bit of a chat, you thought this was a brilliant idea. And I know you've got a few comments to make about the dating side of things. So where do you fit into all this?
Well, I fit somewhere between sing and gel. Single, right now. Sorry, that's a bad joke. So I'm a Gen Y. So I'm 31. I think that makes me a Gen Y. Born in the late 80s. So, in my time, I've seen the evolution of dating apps literally as I was being an adult. And where I sit into it is like, young enough to sort of obviously by means of going up and talking to someone at a bar, but still also young enough for dating apps to be the normality. So I guess that's where I slot into things. It's somewhere the rise and fall, but the rise of apps and, everything become readily available at your fingertips.
Excellent, because I expect there'd be a lot of difference, because in my day, there wasn't even an internet when I first started dating. So massive changes over all that time.
Were you, Alan? Were you doing the pen pal thing back in your day, or what was the scope of communication back in your time?
Yeah, well, I told you
almost prehistoric.
Be careful.
So like a super like back then was a smoke signal.
Flares weren't an option. It was a smoke signal. The whole twist of the stick in the
Go free, young raven.
Sorry, Alan, go on. You were going.
Sorry, Alan.
No, he's not sorry at all.
No, not.
But he could be later on.
I've got to make 32 yet.
Yeah. So with you, Thomas, you're how old now?
I'm 27.
Oh, babies.
So we've got a bit of a range of ages in this as well. So different experiences when we all first started dating. So for you, Thomas, what was it like when you first started?
This is going back. This has cast my mind back a while, actually, because I haven't officially dated for a good 9 years. So when I was back then, probably in early high school, it was pretty average. It was pretty tough, especially for an overweight fella to try and connect into a relationship with someone that he actually liked and wasn't wasn't a stereotype of what you would expect, like the fat guy gets the fat girl, or the skinny guy gets the skinny girl, or the fit guy gets the fit girl kind of thing. And so it was kind of hard for a young fella, especially too. I had a lot of identity issues when I was coming to my dating stage, and my career max is 3 relationships in the space of about 3 months. And so that was kind of the climax of my relationship experience. And then I became a Christian, and then ever since then I've kind of stepped back, and there's teachings within the church that restrict you from the actual dating scene, because they project and teach straight to marriage. There's no in the middle. And so you can be a single man with the intent to go on date purely and genuinely because of you want to see the growth that you've implemented in your life come out into a healthier environment. And so, but the church doesn't allow that to happen simply because if she's not the one, or if you don't see yourself marrying her, then don't go there. That's the whole message of in a sense the Christian church, and being sexually pure and being equipped to date. But so really it's like, okay, there's a successful model of dating outside the church, and also one is and then there's one that's not working inside the church. So we've got to look at a successful model outside. And so for dating, for me, I'm still learning that aspect, and Kim's been a huge help in that, not just from a dating in a whole aspect, but also to get me equipped. And I know that I'm still, it's still on the to-do list, Kim, but there is a video testimonial coming. But I honestly been able to ready yourself as a human being in the process, in anticipation to become or step into the dating world, that it is a very worthwhile quest to find yourself before you find the one. I want to go away from that terminology, and I think Kim will agree, is the one. If I'm not too keen on that, because I'm a spiritual connected guy that believes that God will provide the one. And so if I master who I am first and become the man I need to be, and focus on my standards and morals and responsibilities, it's naturally going to attract the woman that is needed for me. And so that's my belief, and that's where I stand on in a sense of dating.
I got a question for you, Thomas. Given you're a man of faith, and and all your beliefs, could you use like a Christian dating app, people that are of the same faith as well? Is that allowed? Or
yeah, so Christian Mingles, I think, is one. And I probably should, there should be one called Jesus Freaks. That would be pretty funny, Jesus Freaks, because we're all a little bit freakish. But yeah, like I think there is a larger awareness of these apps and more acceptance of these Christian apps. But I think there's a lot of Christians within the church that are secretly on these other secular apps, and trying to hide their image in case someone else that's within the same church is on that app. And if the 2 and 2 match, or if the 2 and 2 see each other, whether it's a leader on that app and a regular volunteer, it could break down the connection between that, because of the reputation and how dirty it might seem from an outsider, from an internal church mindset looking outside.
Yeah, okay.
So it's kind of, I'm all for it 100%. Like I couldn't care less if you're on a dating app, as long as you are fully convinced and fully in control of your response and your way of communication. I don't see an issue.
Because I've come across, like, I've been on dating apps for the most part of my adult years. So I'm 31, and since I was 18, I've been single for about 90% of that. Mm-hmm. And on the apps, you come across people who practice faith, Catholics, Christians. I've swiped on some Muslim people, and it says on their profile, I'm of Christian faith, and you start chatting, and they stick to their belief, which is fantastic. So it's happening. I don't know the numbers and figures, of course, but like, it's good to see that people are not willing to, some people might put their faith aside just to please someone, say. And it's good to see that people keeping to their morals and standards. And I think the people that are like are brave, or I wouldn't use the term brave, but the people that inside know what's right for them, to practice what they preach. And, if that's works for them, then people like that, I commend very much.
Totally.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's
100%.
like Thomas, you were saying, it's all about knowing, being right in yourself first.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter which site you go to, it's your intention when you go on those sites.
Because especially the timeline between dating and sexual intercourse in a church sense is perceived to be a lot faster than what it really is, and to a degree that comes down to the lack of communication, and so it just naturally happens that fast because they're not communicating and their expectations are this is what should happen because that's how it happens everywhere else. But when I forgot where I was going. Sorry.
Well, I want to jump in because Thomas, what you've just shared, and I really enjoyed what Mitch kind of complimented you on around your faith as well. I think it's fantastic. You have this belief and this really strong belief about doing the work on yourself. And I think that is fundamentally the key thing for us to work out. And that's why I wore this hat today, because in the dating world, which hat are you wearing? Are you on the fun choo-choo train? Do you just want sex? Mm-hmm. Or are you wanting to go towards a relationship? And is the connection and the intimacy so much more important for you? And so, in evolving a relationship, because, really, at the end of the day, it's like, what do we want to go towards? Mm-hmm. But my question to you, Thomas, which I'm really interested, because I do love how you did say the word, the right one, because I hear that term and so much, I'm looking for the right one. And what I sort of suggest to people is if you're able to, meet people and work on yourself, which you're doing, Thomas, and I think it's really important. When you meet someone, you then start to see if they hold the same values as you, and you go, mm-hmm. You start to expand the conversations, and then you go, oh, okay, this is really interesting. I'll expand that and take it a little bit further and meet them for another date or go on a third date. And then you start to see, if it's consistent, if there's consistency around it. So I'll be curious to know, like, are you able to kind of, like, based on what I just heard, I think you're not able to do that because you're kind of waiting for the right person to just turn up and not able to kind of explore that. Whereas in the traditional dating world, and Mitch, I'd love to hear from you as well. What I suggest to people is it is that exploration, because if you're sharing who you are and you're knowing who you are, and with men, what I've found as well is a lot of men are sometimes not able to share who they are, right? So mm-hmm. even on the dating apps, they'll only have 1 or 2 pictures. They won't have any writing. So there's no story that's being built. And so my biggest thing, which I want to share to the dating world, is the more that we can show and share who we are, the more you're going to connect with the one, right? And getting closer to where you want to be. So, so, I mean, look, I respect where you're coming from, Thomas, and I really understand that. And, and I do believe that will happen organically as well for you, because you'll become clear on who you are.
Yeah, and there's this common phrase used in the Christian world, and it's called, it says, who I am in Christ. And normally that is in relation to who I am in Christ, obviously. Like it's my identity in his grand scheme of things. But I see that as who am I in Christ? Like Christ can't fulfill his plan without me being at my fullest capacity. And so I think that, like, it's a grammar in that statement, but when you understand who I am in whatever hat you're wearing, as you said before, whether it's the, and you were talking about relationships, but just in general, whether you're a government official, whether you're a public speaker, whether you're anything, like who are you in that? Because that in a sense is your identity, because then that will attract, as you said, who needs to be there. I heard this story recently about this couple, and this woman and this man. This man was married, and he was having like an affair, and so they would go to the same restaurant every single week and get the same table with the same maitre d'. And for 2 years this went on, and then this woman was in a conversation with another person, and she said, he said that if you're looking for something new but still got the old car in the driveway, you ain't got room enough to put the new car. And so what that in turn means is you have to give away and get rid of all the stuff that you're holding on to make room enough for what you want. There is a man out there or a woman out there that fits your standards and your criteria. And if you don't have a standard or criteria, get that. Why? Because it's a reflection of you. Yeah. And so when you outline that and fully invest in that, it will come through. In turn, that story ends with the head maitre d' of that restaurant saw her out one day because they'd stopped going to the restaurant and they'd broken off the relationship. And so the head maitre d' saw the woman, and he said, "Wow, I've been waiting for 2.5 years." And so he was the head maitre d'. He ended up owning that restaurant, now owns 3 restaurants. She was the financial woman at the bank that he needed to own that. And now they're on 3 million plus a year. And so, but because she was hung up that she was alone and she needed a connection and wasn't willing to wait and invest on who she was and into who she was, she didn't get that. It could have come 2.5 years earlier, but it got her, and now they're living well. But the cost of our decisions and what we focus on will determine how our relationships grow and how we see or attract the one.
Yeah, there's so many things that came out in what both you and Kim were just talking about. Like Kim was saying, it's putting more of a story out so people know who you are. Because if you don't, what you're going to attract is more than likely not going to be connected, because they don't know who you are. The ones that, if you are yourself, you can't be anybody else, you be yourself. Those that then resonate with it, you'll actually bring them to you. Mm-hmm. But you've also got to be right in yourself, or otherwise you'll feel that, hey, this is who I am, this is all I am, and I just need somebody, and you'll take anybody. You're putting yourself down, so you've got to do that work on yourself first of all.
Mm-hmm. I agree with what everyone's saying. Also, like when you're putting yourself out there, okay, so you have a small, potentially if you're swiping or messaging people, you've got a very small amount of space to bring your best version of yourself. So you talk about the things you like. So for example, you're into traveling, nice coffee, whatever it might be. And that's coffee. What people come at me, good beans. And but I think also further to what Kim said, people can sense hang-ups. And if you have worked on yourself, because no one can be happy in you unless you're happy in yourself. And it's not fair to put yourself out there if you're hung up on an ex or whatever.
Yep.
I'll know that we have dating histories and that defines who we are. But if it's come to a point where it's become an obsession and it's upsetting a new relationship, then chances are you may just have to stop, reset, sort what's going on out and go back out there, because no one's looking for a fixer-upper. But I think if you put your best version of yourself, so some good pictures, a little bit about your bio, and Kim and I spoke about, we did an episode on my podcast, it's coming out soon, talk about your love language. So for me, I'm attracted to people who communicate well. I'm an affectionate person, and on top of that, I love good stories. That's what the podcast is about too. And what I find is I resonate with people who are on a similar wavelength to me. I'm a man of I believe in spirituality. So if you put enough positive energy out into the universe, you can manifest what you want. So kind of like The Secret, I guess, but less cheesy. And but if you're able to, as you've all said, put the best version of yourself out there, put out what you want, because no one's going to do it for you. If you're able to communicate some people are texters, some are open chatters like me, or whatever it might be. And some people's love language isn't as good communication, but it's the small things. It's the cup of coffee of a morning. It's the washing your car while you're at work. It's all these things. And if you find out what's best for you, then you maximize your potential to beating that soulmate. So, there's many, people of religion, people of spirituality, people of different walks of life. The one common causality, or not causality, but the one common trend is that if you're able just to be the brightest version of yourself, chances are you'll attract someone to you. I'm Mitch Kelly.
Let's get that ad in there.
Oh, wow.
Station sponsor.
And Mitch, it takes someone brave, and like even just hearing Thomas and you speak, and like we all get it, right? This is the thing. It's so vulnerable to actually put yourself out there for a start. And so like I always say to people, how can I support you to get out there in the dating world? And I really think that that's important, that we all sort of help one another as well, by sharing, going, right, can we show our profiles, to someone? Does that look like me? And is this, this expression, of who I am? Because I think that's really important. Like, are you a skydiver? Or, Thomas said, he's into cars, and, he's aiming towards cars. So showing those sort of interests, and even communication for you, Mitch. And I think it's just incredibly important, but it is scary, because when people actually put that out there, they go, oh my God, I'm actually sort of showing people who I am, right? And so that's the scary part, because people are not necessarily, wanting to go towards, because it's either taking those baby steps. And that's why when I said before, Thomas, it'd be great if, like what Mitch suggested, if there was an app that you could go onto with your faith to still be consistent, to then be able to explore that, because there's so much that we learn through the experiences of dating. That's what I think is incredible, because we meet all these beautiful people. And I know I've been on dates, and, some guys have felt, and this is what I've felt, is they felt that either they didn't have their stuff together and they weren't able to do the work, like you were saying, Thomas and Mitch, doing the work. And so they went, okay, I've just got to go back to, to a girl that's treating me not well, And so I couldn't understand it, because when you actually, give love, kindness, happiness, and you're in your own center around that, and you can gift that to someone, we kind of all sabotage. And I know Alan's spoken about the sabotager before, or the imposter, which is this little thing coming up going, oh, I'm not good enough, I don't look great. We all have it. Like, even I have it, and I kind of go, oh, how am I going to turn up, today? Like, how do we turn up as our best version? Have I got something going on which is really concerning me? Should I turn up on this date? Or have I not dealt with my past, and I really need to kind of talk that out with a friend? Like, these are the key things, in order to turn up and be able to go towards, because I think it's really important, like, I think it's amazing,
One of the crazy things is that, we put stuff out there and we're worried about how people are going to interpret it. Well, we need to put it out there, because we're not going to attract the one, or so to, that type of person, whatever that qualification you want to use, the right person, the person that's going to match your personality, the person that's going to become a soulmate and all those sort of different things. They're never going to be able to identify you if you're not telling people who you are.
Yeah,
that's right.
They might be looking around for someone just like you, but they won't find you until they see you. The other people who don't resonate with that, who might look at it and go, oh, Alan's not for me type thing. Well, in that case, I don't want them, because they're not going to match me anyway. The person I want is a person who goes, hey, Alan's the sort of person, I like his background, I like what he does, I like his values, his thinking and everything else, and I align with this. And then you can have a relationship. Otherwise, you attract somebody who doesn't connect with you. And next thing you know, they go from being a nice new Porsche, and they look like the old banged up VW, and you're now looking for a replacement. Oof. The trouble is, people might get that old car out of their garage, but they're still hanging on to the old car when they start looking at the new car. As you said before,
True.
you've got to be able to let go completely of the past. And the way to do that is to understand yourself better, know what you're really looking for, and then look at the other person and go, geez, I can let them go because they didn't match.
You're,
Yes.
That's all
you're
I
100% correct. So, like, can I share a story with you guys about like getting to that point of your best self? So,
Only because you're a New South Wales supporter.
3-0 tonight, baby. Let's do it.
Come on. I'm
so-
a bit peed off. Sorry, Mitch. I'm a bit heartbroken that it was moved from Newcastle to Gold Coast.
I was well. Some people weren't all for it. Like a lot of people, like, oh, it could be COVID, but I was personally going to try and go, but we'll have a different opinion. Fair enough.
And then everyone said that Gladys was sending COVID up to Queensland.
Here you go, Anastasia. Raise it.
Yeah.
Raise it.
Oh God, there's so many stories.
But back to you, Mitch. Go back.
And we're back. Another news. Nah. So I think. So I have had a few. I've suffered from anxiety on and off for 4 or 5. Like diagnosed when I was 25. So what's that? 6 years ago, and my own inadequacies cost me a relationship. You know, you have these negative trends. For example, I would constantly text them. They'd write to me or whatever, and I'll write 3 or 4 responses and like get anxious. Like, why haven't they write back? Why haven't they written back? Why haven't they? You know, and as Kim mentioned before, that voice in your head that, you know, it's. Have you? Are you all familiar with the term imposter syndrome?
Yes, Alan. Yeah, and Alan knows it.
Okay, so for those who are listening or aren't familiar with it, it's the inner monologue in your head that says, oh, I'm not worthy enough. Oh, this person's intimidating. I don't deserve to be here. It's that. It's not like an actual diagnosed thing on the spectrum, but I did an episode with a girl named Bianca Woolwick, and her podcast is all about imposter syndrome. Anyways, she was telling me that what it is and what it's about, and I resonated with this. And for the longest time, that inner voice in my head was making me feel inadequate and anxious. And so through, you know, and ultimately my partner at the time and I ended things because she's like, you're just too much, you're too intense. And that really hit home. So, you know, I went and got some help, and, you know, to this day, I'm such an ambassador for those who are struggling to speak up. You know, ask your friends if it's okay. I love things like "Are you okay?" day and stuff like this. And only through 6 years of healing, I live by myself now and learning, you know, what I enjoy. And I started this project that I do because it makes me happy. And then I think combine that with some good time with friends. If you're introverted, extroverted, whatever you might be, it's important to find your niche, to find what you enjoy. Some are creative, some aren't. Some don't want to leave their comfort zone, which is fine. But it's to put the best version of yourself out there and to overcome hardships. It takes work, and you can, you know, if you can find, like, get to that best version of yourself, as we'll say. And at that point, when you're happy, then put yourself out there. I think that's the important message.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So as it comes back to you need to know yourself and therefore be able to put that message out. I had a client that I did a training course, and that she learned how to read people. She was a coach, and then she showed me a photograph of a guy she was thinking of dating. She said, well, what do you think about him? And I went, well, of course, he's got this trait, he's got that trait and all the rest. And I went, yeah, but what are you looking for? Yes, he's got a trait that says he'll give a lot, but are you somebody, you just want to get as much as you can from him? Is it a long-term relationship you want? She said, yes. And I said, right. There's somebody who needs to know that the person cares about you. You know, if they say they love you, is that enough? Or do you need to know? And she said, I need to know. And I said, well, the opposite trait in this particular case would be somebody, if they give to you, know they've thought about you. And so she had to look at understanding understand herself first, understand what she was really looking for, what she needed and what she wanted, and then look for the partner who has those. Because otherwise there was no chance of meeting that person.
And I love that conversation, Alan, because do you know what you did? Is you actually had a dialogue with this friend to help her understand, and then she expressed it, right? And this is probably one of the biggest pieces, guys, and I'd love, you know, is actually expressing it. And I feel like you two are probably doing that now, because we're forgetting to actually share that and go, this is what I like. And I shared that with someone recently, and I said, my language of love is touch. and I was touching, them, not in an inappropriate way, but like just on the shoulders. Just doing the, on the shoulder, the touching, the hand, and I wasn't getting anything back. And so for me, it came up for me and I went, okay, this is really interesting. And so then I shared that sort of thought with this guy. And I said, I just noticed that, you didn't kind of respond back at all. And he was really understanding and he was really removed and kind of disconnected. And he said, I've just got a lot of things that is going on, Kim, And so that then came out and he said, I really appreciate you being so honest. But I was sharing with him because I realized, that I wasn't getting anything back. And so I, expanded the relationship over a period of time, but then went, oh, hang on a second, this is really important for me. So it's through these experiences that you kind of then go, that's really what I need for myself. But, what I'm looking for in a partner,
Yeah, I agree with what you said. And I got taught a technique to do, like to put yourself out there. A friend of mine suggested, he said, look, he went to someone like yourself, Kim, who helps people find relationships. And I'm not sure who he went to anyways, but he said, one exercise I was told to do was get out a notepad and pad or type on your computer, type a fictional letter to the person that you envisage yourself with. So he's like, dear such and such, lol, to my future person.
I love it.
And if you can see something in front of you and go, okay, write it out, and then or type it, whatever it might be, even on your phone, text it or voice memo it, whatever it is. And you can look back on it a few days later and go, okay. And then you start thinking and then you can add to it. And then over a period of time, you've at least got some semblance or some idea in your head as to the person you might want to attract. Me, for example, I was like, some important things are communication, honesty, things like they don't have to be into the same fandoms as me, which is fine. I'm a nerd. I love my footy as well and traveling and all that sort of thing. But if you can find like some common ground to enjoy and have conversations with, at least then you've got a weapon to help prepare yourself to get out there. I've done it and it's worked. I've had probably collectively 300 or 400 Tinder dates. Most of them just a coffee because I know what I want, and I don't want to settle for the person who isn't right for me because it's a waste of their time and my time. So it's important when you put yourself out there, I think, actively think about who you want and what's important to you, because ultimately you're the one who has to live with your decisions. And if you're going to spend your life with someone, then you want to make sure that they're the right person for you, I think.
And I love that, Mitch. I've been wanting to get Alan to write a list.
He's so desperate to get me out there again. I'm happy.
Well, Kim, I was going to ask the question, was that story about Alan just before? The touching, the stonewalling kind of...
I did tell you to behave when you came on, Thomas.
Mate, we haven't been together for a while, so you can't... I'm a deadly Koori fella, and there's no chance of me holding back when I get the opportunity. Quick sniff and I'm there.
You and I are going to go along just fine.
But Thomas, what do you think about the list? Because I think what Mitch said, because that's what I get guys and girls to do, is start by writing a list, to then visualize it, because men are actually quite visual creatures and women are too. But all of us have different representational systems. So I'm kinesthetic. So I need to meet someone in person, but I have, say, a preparation thing that I do when I connect with a guy. I look at the photos to see if there's something, I can see the expression of him. I look at the body of information, and look, I don't go for, as you said before, Thomas, I don't go for like the ripped abs and stuff where the guys are showing their abs and stuff.
Hang on, where did I say that? I didn't say that because that's what I go for. No, I'm joking.
If there's a washboard, he's getting a super like.
Mate, I'm getting down to a washboard, but I'm not quite there, so.
No, but like, this is the thing, like, I'd love to know, like, what you think about the list, because I have got a bit of list. But as Mitch said, you know, it's kind of just a bit of an idea. And that's what I say to people, don't get caught up in the list, but have an idea, you know, because what it
The
points
blueprint.
back to, it just points back to the person who you are and your values, and then you're putting it in writing or putting it on a text. And that's why I love it, Mitch. You know, I think it's brilliant what you said, because that's what I share with people, to give you a bit of an idea of what you're going towards. And what Alan did with his friend, you know, she started to get an awareness around what she's wanting.
I'll have to move my computer screen out because my head is just getting bigger and bigger.
Oh my God, that's getting scary. The thought of that.
Human Tobal himself.
I totally agree, Kim. List is a very important aspect of, or thing to build, not just in relationships, but also in the process of writing things down in general with business or life or whatever. Simple principle is write the vision down and make it plain. For those who run with it will, for those that read it will run with it, and even though it tarries, it will come at a point of time. And so, and also too, like, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for everything, and if you fall for everything, you'll stand for nothing.
Oh, I like that.
And
deep,
so, Thomas Graham, yours truly. You heard it here first on 99.7 Ring FM, the station that's here for the whole family.
You just got a new subscriber.
I'm a subscriber.
So list, it's a, I'm not going to say it's a fine line between picky and selfish. It's not.
No.
Because at the end of the day, you are the most powerful person in this whole world. And I think that's the message if we were to end it now, which we're not. But if my final words were, it would be the power of you. The power that you have inside of you is very, very strong. And so when you match that with someone that is as powerful as you to come into a relationship, that's world's changed. And so, because I've always been on the relationship advices, there's no point a 75% person and a 25% person coming into a relationship to make 100%.
Yeah.
A relationship is not a 100% thing. It's a 200% thing. And when the two of us come together, and I'm going to ask, this is going to be a follow-on question, Kim, what number or percentage would you wait till before stepping out into the dating world? So hold that.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Hold that thought. All right, that's the question. And so when you understand that, when you work in yourself and then express that through the foundation of your list, your list is your foundation. And when you build your life and your relationship goals off that foundation, you can't query, or you can't go side to side or sway or fall short, in a sense, because that list and that list may have started here, but it could have gone to here in say like 5 years. Why? Because you've matured, you've overcome certain hurts, habits, and hang-ups, and you've implemented stuff in your life that allows you to, and also that has brought you closer to the man that 100% man that you should be trying to become. And so I'm not there yet. I'm probably around the 80% mark, 85% mark. But going back to what you were talking about before, Kim, about expressing yourself, expressing it, I think it's a very key thing, because we had many conversations on the phone that I ended up ending because I hated you, because we actually went real deep. And in that whole thought process within our conversation on the phone, it allowed me to express what really was happening, or the core root of that. And so expressing it really is quite a key part in the healing process, I believe, because you're releasing it from yourself. And where you release that obviously will determine where and how much healing comes from it. But it's really important to not only just write down your list and take care of the hurts and the habits and all that, but also to have people in your life that are there, like Kim, for example. She she got annoyed at one stage because I was texting her all the time. It's like, when are you paying me, kind of thing. But I'm just like,
I didn't say that.
No, she didn't. But
You know, I didn't say. I just want to be clear on that.
yeah.
But
Checks in the mail.
do you know what I was doing? I was making you become responsible. So if you notice my language, I wasn't giving you the answers.
Yeah, and that's right.
Yeah.
Because one thing to come to you and be fed, in a sense, with it by a fish, or it's another thing to go and get the fish and then learn how to fish and then go fish for the rest of your life. And that's really what you're doing in that moment, is giving me the independence that I need to be confident in my capacity going forward. And so, and I really, although it was really, really hard and I didn't want to go to that state, or I didn't have time, or I felt that I didn't have time to go to that state because of my calendar and my day. A 5-minute conversation turned out to be 40 minutes. And we went there, and that 40 minutes allowed me to then be the man I needed to be for my mate that I was about to have lunch with, and then also the flow-on effects of that. And so sometimes the spontaneousness of that expression, or the expressive nature, is also the thing that you need as well. And that ability to communicate with someone that you trust to in a sense heal, and to realign and recalibrate your standards after a painful relationship or whatever. That's a priority, because at the end of the day, you have to come back to that 100%, or try and get as close as you can to that 100%, so that you can, because.
So I want you to let go of the 100%, right?
Yeah.
Because you're already there, Thomas. And like, I just want to acknowledge that you made it a priority. There was something that was burning within you, and you made it a priority, and you wanted answers. And I just merely was the person to actually help facilitate that for you, right? And so, you know, to give you that time, but you were hungry for it. You were hungry for answers. And so you made yourself a priority, and you already said it before. And like, I really want to acknowledge your strength to go there. And you knew that it was a non-judgmental space that I was holding for you. And I said, I just honor everything that you've done and everything that you're choosing and the man who you're becoming. That's the beauty. So you are ready. And, you know, I mean, that's what I see from me. And so that's where, you know, you've done so much work. And look, it never stops. I mean, you know, Alan and I have these conversations all the time, and we're like, you know, it never stops. So, but it's more like going, okay, is something else a priority? And so, you know, is work a priority, or is my children a priority? Whatever we've got in our lives, or friends a priority, or family. It's where we choose to place our energy. And so, and so if people want to make dating a priority, or finding someone to have in their life, that's wonderful. But if other people don't, that's okay too, you know?
Yeah. So going back to my question before, Kim, and I know you want me to go away from that 100%, but in the grand scheme of someone first starting out, to try and get them to a hopeful position, what number would you recommend before, or what percentage before coming into a more serious level of dating?
So just so I understand it a bit better, do you mean like how many times do they have to go out on a date in order to be sort of ready? Is that what you mean?
No, so in the sense of, if I am whole and out of, don't have any hurts, hang-ups or habits or anything like that I'm fully confident in who I am, I relate to 100%.
Okay, so that's a good question. Okay, so what I'll talk to. What is it? What did you say?
Is it a percentage? That's the thing.
I don't think
asking numbers. I don't think a number comes into it.
No, and that
should just feel natural. Like if you're ready, you're ready, and if you're not, if you have stuff going on that's holding you back, then you know, in terms of percentage, like no one, it's not fair to anyone else if you have hang-ups and then you go and potentially waste their time and yours. So I think in terms of preparedness on your scale of numbers, it's just whatever it feels natural. And when you're confident enough to go, you know what, I feel good and it's time to go. And just further to what you said before, about surrounding yourself with good people. Negative people are poisonous, and you don't need that negative toxicity, you know. And then if you have a friend who's been dragging you down for years, and your thoughts are on that person while you're potentially out meeting people, and that could potentially hold you back. Like, not saying you personally, but so, you know, surround yourself with good people that want your vibes. You know, it's all about those good vibrations. And if you can, so me personally, I use the expression vibrating in a certain frequency. So the idea is, I put out positive energy, and if someone vibrates like me, in a that sounded dirty, I didn't mean it like that, but like, if you can.
It was the girl that was laughing.
Oh,
going, okay.
Lucky
right,
I work in
love it.
earthworks, because I'm just digging myself into a hole. But does that make sense? Like, you can't, if it feels natural and if you're ready, then go for it.
As you said, frequency was so important. Whatever frequency you're resonating at, you will attract somebody of the same frequency.
Yes.
So if your whole belief about yourself is crap, that's what you're going to attract into your life.
Yes.
So it's not about being a certain percentage. It's about being happy with who you are, finding who you are to that point. When you're comfortable with that, not a percentage, but when you're comfortable with it, that's when, if you go out, you'll attract somebody who is equally comfortable with it. And that's the whole thing. It's like, as you said, the checklist, you know, you might say, oh, these are all the things that I want. But I liken it to going down to the shops. I take a shopping list down with me. When I take it down, I may miss a couple of things because they're not on the shelf, but I still walk out satisfied.
Yes.
But when I don't have a list and I go down shopping, all I do is panic buy. And lately we've seen everybody else has been doing the same thing at the shops, and the cupboards are bare. The shelves got nothing on them.
I'm happy if I go down to the shops and just get some toilet paper at the moment.
Well, I'm very blessed to be employed by Woolworths, and
look at you.
No one puts the toilet paper out until we put it out, and so it's our job to put the toilet paper out, and so we get first dibs.
I've never heard anyone at all be so proud about supplying our nation with toilet paper. I mean, mate, I commend thee.
and I'm going to take it a step further here, because I'm very, as you mentioned before, coffee. I'm a coffee fanatic. I'm also a toilet paper connoisseur, and so
Quilton
dating to toilet paper connoisseur. Wow.
Quilton is the toilet paper that loves your bum, and so get that up there.
Get that up your bum.
Quilt on, not quilt off. Thank you, Quilton.
So if you go down to Newcastle West Woolworths and you want to find out, just get him to call Thomas to come along, and he will put you right on what you need to get.
Absolutely.
The mustache with the, I don't know, I tried to come up with something clever, but I couldn't think of it.
Tom Selleck. Definitely Tom Selleck.
Mustache you for some toilet paper. Ding, that's the code.
And is it the Lamborghini that goes with Tom Selleck? Is it Lamborghini?
Don't know, but all I know is that he must have had a very comfortable bum. That's all I know.
Those things are uncomfortable. That's right. But see, Thomas, you're just, you know, the fact that all of you can talk about this stuff shows that you're already, you know, if you're talking about being somewhere, you're already there. You're already ready for it because you're comfortable about to talk about, which means you're comfortable in talking to the prospective partner, which is honoring them to let them find out about you, and therefore let them to make their mind up as well. Yeah. And in that situation, you're going to, the person who will stick around will be the right one.
Mm.
And as we grow and everything goes, we may then, if they don't grow equally with us, they grow faster or slower, we may then separate. But it's realizing that that's, you know, who we will have next to us is a person who's equal to us. So if we want the best, be the best out of ourselves as well.
And it's
exactly, yeah, go on.
It's a gambling game. It's a guessing game. Like, you know, you buy a car, okay, sweet. I use that example. Like, you know that there might be some hang up with the car, might have a few dents, but it might be right for you. Like, it's a world out there where it's very scary. But it's like not. It's taking a leap of faith. If you jump, metaphorically, of course, the grass can be greener on the other side. And if you know you're unhappy at the moment, you want to meet someone and you want to, you know, test the waters, then online dating is a great place to start because you have the safety of your own home, or your own fingertips, or whatever it is. And yeah, it's scary as all buggery. But you know what? If you land it, then it's there's no better feeling than coming home. So I'm a shift worker too, so I do 12-hour shifts day and night, and like I work every second weekend, and you knock off, and then because not allowed to have phones at work, you check your phone, you say, hey man, what are you doing today? What are you doing? And you miss out on this. But to have someone that would be in your corner would be unreal. And that's ultimately why I wanted to chat today, is because I'm put out there. I want to meet someone, and yeah, that's, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know.
It does. And I want to say to everyone, we exist. So if we get to know ourselves, which has been the whole theme of this discussion today, then we can actually attract in other people that exist and operate like we do, you know, because ultimately if we believe in who we are and what we want to put out there and the expressions of who we are, then we can bring that in.
Whoever you are, whatever you do, we put the U in CBU. Oh dear.
I think another thing too, with the importance of lists, is also a vision. It creates a vision, and those that a man without a dream or vision shall perish, I believe. And so when we don't have a vision in this area of our life, we don't start to dive into greater levels of family, greater levels of connection, and greater levels of community, because we don't know what we want. And so it might look nice and fluffy over there with that or them, but once you get into that group and actually learn about them, I'd rather just watch them from an outsider's perspective. And so it's like, it's okay to have a list and to have a vision and to have, like I've got a fella on my vision board with a not washboard abs, not quite, but he's still a buff guy. Oof. And that's what I inspire to be like.
You're going to get like that, Thomas.
and I'm down 34 kilos in 14 months.
Congrats, man. That's unreal. That's unreal.
So like when you invest, and I only stepped on the scale last week, and so I checked or jumped on the scales for 14, probably actually it was about 9 to 10 months I hadn't stepped on the scales because of the first challenge, and I was 153 kilos I think it was after that. And so still I'm down 22 kilos after that. So,
that's fantastic. Congratulations.
So yeah, like I only just found out that last week, and I'm like, what the heck? And I'm just like absolutely pumped. So I'm down to 127, and my goal was, and still is, low 100s. And so I'm feeling amazing. My dick's getting bigger. My legs are looking amazing. Like I'm a deadly curry. And what more do you want? Like.
And he's 110% mustache.
That's right.
There's about 20 kilos of hair right there, I reckon.
And I trimmed about 2 kilos off it this morning. So
yes.
But yeah, like, and once you know that, like you can have a laugh at yourself. You can be confident with yourself. You can look back at your life and be like, oh gosh, lucky. I actually, Kim, I look back at let me get this photo because I need to this is just how far.
Lucky you're with Amy. All the jingles.
But you're the jingle man.
13, 30, 32.
We're probably going to run out of time. What I would have liked to have gone of having a look at, well, if you're on the dating sites.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, the big difference.
Wow.
And just so you know, guys, that is the woman of my dreams.
Is that the girl from Tas?
That's the girl from. So this was taken January last year when I was down there in Tasmania, and so just that to now, you can see the huge difference of size. So
yeah, you look like a young Daryl Broman in that photo there.
Yeah, Fatty Walton, 100%. But yeah,
right.
So
as I was saying, I would have liked to have. Talk about, if you are on a dating site, what sort of, not only what you put up there in writing, but also what you put up there in pictures, what sort of images you put out there. And,
I can quickly share my profile if you want.
We're happy to help you build yours. We're happy to help you build yours.
Yeah, the Scrubs onesies up there. No, that's the premium content. You have to get to know me to get to know me.
Is that the OnlyFans link?
Oh, Mitch, you should be putting the onesie on there. They need
No,
to know
no,
that straight up.
I got better photos than the onesie. That's I got a link to the episode on there though. But like, you know, I've got no, you can't really see it. That one, that's the one I use for my podcast. I've got me emceeing at a wedding, and I've got like adventure photos. I did a cool one where I was kicking the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That's like creative. It shows I'm creative, I'm fun, and I'm absolutely hilarious. I mean, come on, have a go at me.
And
But
Can you
like,
go for New South Wales?
But see, everything I'm hearing here is being comfortable with yourself.
yeah,
You get
that's
that
exactly what you
right,
need to have.
and you
I
can
think.
go forward from there.
and sharing the story. So sharing, so Mitch, even with the pictures, which is brilliant, like, you know, putting your pictures up there to show you're funny and that you're flexible with doing your legs.
Well, I just so I'm on a few apps, and a few apps ask you questions and then you answer them specifically, and some like just about a general bio. So if you got a second, I'll share what's on my bio. So it's like, hey, I'm an easygoing guy, down to earth, who loves being around people and equally loves his own time. I love good series. I'm a nerd at some things. I love my rugby league, and I'm a podcaster. I enjoy funny storytelling, and I'm lighthearted. I love traveling. And on top of that, I'm looking to meet someone who's right for me.
Oh, beautiful.
They only give you a certain amount of characters and stuff, but and then down at this, and then you scroll down and like, what's some of the conversation starters you could have, you know, and then you write your lists. So like sport, TV shows, good movies, etc. And then you can say memorable travel and whatever it is. And then on, you know, you just give an insight as to what you are and limited characters, of course. And if you can do that, and then I think you maximize what you can with the limited space you get.
And the key thing there
I need
is
to get onto that
in
too.
the time that I've known you, Mitch, everything you mentioned there is who you are. There's the honesty. And so therefore you're giving the other people who are looking at your profile, the ones that will actually match, the opportunity to actually find you.
Yeah.
Nice and simple.
I agree.
So just to finish up, because we just realised we've probably hit the hour already, but just a final word that you would leave, a bit of advice for the people who are listening to this. If we can start first of all with you, Mitch, then Thomas, and if Kim here could finish us off. So Mitch.
Okay, so practice some of the things that we mentioned here today. Write a letter, talk to friends, and even ask feedback. So like, what do you think I'm like as a person? You know, because the people that you're close to know you the best. And I think that if you are wanting to attract someone, find out what you're like, find out the type of person you want, and that way you minimize the potential of wasting your time and other people's time as well. If you can get that right, then you've at least got the great foundations to move forward. I think. I'm Mitch Kelly.
Make sure you get that ad in. Thomas.
It's hard to follow on from that, but I'll do my best. I think for me, the last thing is not only everything that we've talked about, but it comes back to the power of you. You are powerful. You are everything that you need to be, and you are the epitome of everything that you need to be as well. And so when you look at all areas of your life and you're going all in on your finances and you're going all in on your career and your family aspirations, why wouldn't you go all in on you? Because at the end of the day, everything is controlled by you and everything is influenced by you. And if you're not influencing to the greatest capacity as what you are or can be, then you're not going to attract the woman of your dreams or the woman that is needed to fulfill your will in your life. And so when you go all in on your gift or that which brings you greater happiness, greater joy, greater peace, greater gratitude, generosity, or whatever, that's when you start to live a life full of purpose. And so start to invest in yourself, because I guarantee if you look back at videos that I've been on at the very beginning to now, you will see a huge difference just in myself, because of the work that I've done with Kim and on myself. And so there's no loss of return on investment when you invest in yourself. And so when the world is telling us what to be and what not to be, and what car to drive and what clothes to wear and what makeup to put on and what body to have, you know what? Stand up and say, stuff you. This is who I am, and this is who I want to attract, because I want to be happy just the way I am, and work towards that lifestyle. And so, yeah, definitely start to invest in yourself. Just take a step back and allow yourself to be comfortable with who you are. If you are alone and going from one relationship to the next, and I'm going to throw my mother under the bus here, and that's my mum. She's kind of like in the relationship, and she's crying out for help, but she's not listening to her kids, and so it's sad. But she's at the stage where she has to want to invest into herself and want the change that she needs or wants. And so when you understand that with that vision and want what you want so badly, you get the changes and you invest and do the things that you need to. And so now the prospect of me becoming into a dating relationship is a lot closer, with hopefully Courtney, but my career isn't fully there. So yeah, invest in yourself and love yourself.
And Kim.
So I just wanted to share that I just loved what both Mitch and Thomas just shared. I think it's brilliant. You know, I think it's been a great segment today. I really enjoyed it. Look at you two. The key message that I wanted to share with the Campfire group is dating is a process. It's a process. And if we were to summarize some of the aspects we talked about today, it's looking at how you prepare to go into the dating world. You know, have you considered your past? What is it that you need to tidy up in order to be able to prepare yourself to step forward in the dating world? And then what's your position that you want to take? And if your position is that you want to be on the fun choo-choo train and you just want to have friends, or you just want to go out and have sex, then that's okay. Just put it out there, your position. But if you want to be in a relationship, and as we kind of talked about, is writing down what you want to go towards. You know, what is that about a relationship that you want to go towards? So what's your real position? And that's why I say to people, which hat are you wearing in the dating world? And then as you start to connect with people on any of these dating apps or in person, you'll start to see the preview. And the preview of, you know, knowing yourself. And I think that's been the biggest theme of today, is when you know yourself, then when you meet someone, you go, oh, wow, they're very similar and they're matching, you know, and you start to see the possibilities of, you know, someone. And then the key thing around connection and evolving any type of relationship, and whether it's, you know, these beautiful men who I've had the privilege of being with this afternoon, with the friendships, it's the willingness, the energy, you know, the two-way conversations, and people putting that energy and that time into a relationship to understand that person. So yeah, so that's kind of my thing for today. So yeah, but had a ball today, guys.
I want to say one thing. If I was a gambling man, I'd very much invest in Thomas. You won me over, mate.
Well, this has been a fun segment. I've really enjoyed it. We've had a lot of, as you said, honesty. We've had a lot of good advice in there as well. And anybody who's interested, we'll put Thomas's and Mitch's phone numbers in the bottom in the notes.
Don't
put that in there for you guys.
Don't stitch us up.
Classic Mitch up. 1-800.
We'll put out their profiles. And we'll work on Alan's profile.
Work in progress.
Please don't
thanks
dial the
very
Koori.
much for coming along today. And
There's a carrier pigeon on its way.
What was that?
There's a carrier pigeon on its way.
That's definitely prehistoric
with that,
days, Alan.
we're out of here. Thanks, guys. To everybody else, I hope you got a lot out of the talk. You know how to get in touch with these guys. And we'll see you on the next panel discussion. Bye for now.
Cheers.